Mhm. All right, I think it's recording right now.
Yep.
You can see that, right?
Yeah, it popped up and told me to click something.
All right, great. All right, what's up, guys? Ferdinand here from WolfingPhysique, and I am with the Iron Musket.
How's it going, guys?
Bro, how are you, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I mean, I feel like I almost thought you were recording before this, and I feel like you should talk about what you were telling me with that leptin dude, because that blew my mind.
All right.
Just like real quick.
I saw it pop by Derek from More Plates, More Dates. It was interesting video. You see the thumbnail, like this guy eats 10,000 calories
Mhm.
and is still shredded at 3% body fat. That's what it said. It's insane, dude. It's like the guy can eat as much calories as he wants, and he will not store it as fat, which is
sounds
insane.
like a dream.
It
Sounds
sounds
amazing.
like a fucking dream, but but the thing is, he can't store fat. And if he can't store fat, he doesn't have fat cells. The fat cells cannot release the hormone leptin, which Greg always tells, like, ghrelin coming for you, punching you in the face, you know?
Mhm.
That happens all the time. Ghrelin is a hunger hormone, right? So I think most of us who dieted down or whatever, we don't have a lot of leptin because we can eat a shit ton of food, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, so the guy, he does produce leptin, which is a problem. So all the calories he eats, all the fat and cholesterol and all the shit is going to his liver. So it's actually fucking dangerous, you know?
Yeah, it's horrific.
So yeah, it sounds like a dream, but to be honest, if your
You
leptin
said
is
he was
not
gonna
working
die.
right, yeah,
Yeah, you said he was gonna die unless he injected some leptin. I was like, dude, could you imagine?
yeah, that's insane, man. So leptin is the hormone that tells your brain, like, dude, you ain't enough. You're cool, man.
Oh man,
Right?
that just sucks.
But oh shit. Sorry. Oh, all right, yeah. But the guy, yeah, he stores all the cholesterol and fat in his liver, and you get inflamed as fuck. So it's like really unhealthy. It sounds like a dream, and I think most of us who have a big appetite, we love to eat like a lot of food without worrying and
Mhm.
being shredded and stuff. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
just couldn't imagine.
yeah. If
Because
you
I've had several dreams like that where I woke up and calories didn't count. But for this guy, he woke up and it was his real life and it was a nightmare.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's it sounds like a dream, but it's just not worth it. But but yeah, I think we can all agree about the problem in the fitness industry and like losing weight and stuff.
Mhm.
There are and also with fitness models, bodybuilders, like everyone who just wants to look their best, they suffer from eating disorders.
Mhm.
Which
And
is
it's
just
not always the same type either. I've heard of people that message me and they're doing something that I almost did a couple of times, but I'm very glad that I only did it once, where they'll spit food out. So they won't throw it up, but they'll chew it and they'll spit it out in the trash. So just to get the pleasure from it, they'll take in a little bit of calories, but not the full amount and spit it out. Like that is bad. That's got to be really bad, especially if you go down the rabbit hole of doing that and then eventually progressing to full on bulimia.
damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't imagine, like, bulimia is the eating disorder where you like eat a lot of food and you throw up, right?
Yeah.
So I just can't imagine, because I had times that I was like sick, like crazy fever. I think we had it all as well, where we just puke out our food. All right, we just can't get anything in, and everything we get in, we puke out. And I can still remember how horrible that was. It was like, it's horrifying, because there were moments where you puke, where you purge, but nothing comes out. It like looks like you're
Ugh.
purging your soul out, you know, your throat is
I'm sorry, bro. I don't know, the way you said that was funny. But yeah, oh, it sucks. Dry heaving, I think it's called, when you got nothing that can come up. Yeah.
yeah, that's like, I just can't imagine. But then I am wondering if people with like who suffer from bulimia, are they like putting their finger in their throat, or are they eating so much that they are puking because of that? Or
I've never really I've talked to a lot of people in my DMs with bulimia, and I don't really like to get into it because I don't want to remind them of what they did, or because usually they're texting me an hour after they did it. So I don't want to be like, so did you put your finger in your throat? Did you throw it all up? Like, how'd you do it?
exactly.
Like, I don't want them to think about it as much. Just take action to try and prevent it next time. But from what I've gathered, I mean, it might not even be right after they swallow it. They go straight to the toilet. Sometimes they're waiting like, I don't know, an hour or so and just forcing themselves to throw up. I heard there was somebody on my binge eating Discord that posted they used to take laxatives, like a bunch of laxatives to try and clear out their system, which I mean, maybe I don't know exactly how laxatives work. I thought it was coming
I
out the other end, but
honestly don't
I
know as
don't.
well.
Yeah, I figured once it comes out that end, it's already processed. You already gained the calories. So I don't know much about laxative bulimia, if you want to call it that. And then there's also exercise bulimia, which is a new one I heard, where essentially you're doing so much cardio and so much workouts that it's the same thing in a different format. Just trying to purge all these excess calories that you gained, and you have an exercise addiction.
Yeah. Damn.
So lots to choose from, but don't pick one. They all suck.
Yeah.
Suck.
Yeah, but when did it start for you, and which form did you suffer from?
I'm not entirely sure when it started, to be honest, because that's the problem with binge eating. You start to have so many episodes that you lose track. And at this point, it's the if you were to ask me for the start date, I couldn't tell you. I could tell you when I remember it being the worst, and that was when I was at my all-time leanest, similar to what you described, getting super lean for your photo shoot. And I just remember every day I would wake up and I would be like, I'm not at my goal yet, but I'm looking pretty shredded. I like the way I look. And I'm going to go ahead and binge because I'm having these insane food cravings, and maybe that'll take my mind off of it. And it started with that. I had what I wanted. It was never truly enough, but at a certain point, you're in so much pain from filling your stomach that much that you decide, okay, it's not fully satisfying yet, but I'm going to stop for the sake of my own health. And then the next day, you do it again. And eventually, you start to form either mild or severe depressive symptoms based on just the fact that you are now undoing your progress. And I remember just waking up every single day, doing an ab check in my mirror over there, just like, oh, do I have abs? Okay, I'm gonna do it again. And it's so easy to look at that. And then your own what do you want to call it? Your own definition of what lean is changes gradually because you're like, you want to binge. And so you're going to now change your definition of, oh, I look good. So it's like, oh, you're getting way puffier. You're putting on 10 pounds, but now you're like, okay, well, I still have slightly visible abs. It's okay.
Yeah.
And so when I put on the 40 pounds rapidly, that was probably the worst moment. I remember thinking to myself, and I regret it now, even like the thought of it, but I was thinking, I wish I could have some sort of mental disorder like alcoholism or something like that. But when you think about it, it's still calories from alcoholism, so it didn't make sense. But I said, I wish I could have something that didn't change the way my body looks. I wish I could have some disorder, even if it was worse, just
Smoking.
something like that. Yeah, I mean, but that's horrible. I don't want to do
Yeah.
smoking. I really don't want to smoke. And I've seen the pictures of the lungs, but at that point, I was so desperate to stop binging that I was like, just switch disorders, brain, please. I'm sick of this.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I really noticed. And from my photo shoot, I honestly think that I did 2 photo shoots. The first time I got like to maybe 8% or something, like a solid 8%.
Mhm.
I was happy. but I was hungry. So yeah, I don't know, but I was always a guy that could, you know, eat a lot. I loved food. So when I would go out with friends, I have this best friend from my town over here. We are friends from like we're very fucking young. And the thing we always did, everyone was going out to parties and all that stuff. And we weren't like that. We were always like, let's go to the city and get some good ass food, or let's go watch a movie and get some Ben and Jerry popcorn, chips and shit. But a lot. I did my cheat days, and I never felt guilty because of it. So I would not call it binge eating. But the first time after I cut down, I don't know, man. I have the feeling I never was the same anymore, because I was always more so obsessed with food. But I don't know. I wanted to get into this later about the fasting. But the moment I got that lean was when I implemented fasting, because I would get to the point where I was so hungry all the time that the small meals, it didn't help me anymore. Mentally, I just couldn't do it. And I was like, and of course I could eat more volume, more vegetables and all that stuff, but I don't know. I rather eat like good food, because taste was so important for me. And not that you cannot eat good food when you eat vegetables and stuff. You definitely can, but you know what I mean.
It's just not the first thing that comes to your mind. Like, oh, I'm gonna eat this amazing feast of cabbage.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want that.
So yeah, that after the first time of cutting down, I had the feeling I was never really the same, because I was always so hungry. I was thinking about food too much. Even when I gained weight during my bulk, I was like 10 kgs heavier or something, but I was still the same a little bit. I don't know. It was like I never really recovered or something until now, though. So yeah,
that's crazy, because I was gonna ask you how your energy levels felt at the all-time leanest, because I had trouble walking up the stairs, sometimes sleeping.
Damn, dude, it was no, my energy levels weren't really there, man. Lipido was fucked up. That was the first time already, right? So that was like the photo shoot conditioning. It was very lean, but it was not like contest shredder or something that you have like your legs are popping and shit. But yeah, it was like that. But my energy levels weren't really there. I started eating again, like the lean bulk, but it got to a point where I gained the weight a little bit too quickly. But I don't know, my bulk, it took around 7 to 8 months or something. But I have the feeling when you come off of such a long diet that it just takes a while for your body to get your hunger hormones back to normal again. So when I got to the point where, all right, I can't bulk up anymore, and I thought by myself, like, all right, my hunger hormones are a little bit better, but it's time to cut again.
Right at the tail end.
Yeah, exactly like that. And the second time I did it, it was like, because I wanted to coach like natural bodybuilders that really wanted to get really shredded, and I really wanted to do it once in my life. And I achieved that to the point that my glutes were shredded. And that was so horrible, bro.
What do you mean?
That was also when I did the test, and more days reviewed my blood work as well. It was very funny, because I always, when I got into fitness, I was a little chubby, and I think most people who start really want to get a six-pack. We all want to be shredded, six-pack. That's the size doesn't matter, but we want to be shredded, right? So yeah, I got to the point once, and it was horrible, because in the Netherlands it was winter, and over here it's so cold, dude, and my body was cold all the time. I had low energy. I couldn't think clearly. It was my workout suffered so hard, and dude, the hunger, it was unreal, dude. It was
yeah, it's like you could eat whatever meal you want, and then just, I don't know, 10 minutes goes by, you're like, let's do that again.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's horrible. It's horrible. But I did it, and I did a photo shoot that time around, and it was good result. But I would not do it again. I Right now I'm at the point like I got so lean, and leaner than that I don't want to anymore. So I rather, same thing like Greg Set says. It's like main gaining. Not that I think it's the best way to really gain a lot of muscle if you really want to gain a lot, but it's better to think long term and just love your body for as long as possible instead of swing from cut it to bulk. You can't adjust to your body. I think that's a big problem as well.
Yeah, I agree. That was the worst part, was the yo-yos. It's just like one day could ruin 7 days of progress. That was the biggest hit. And the worst part was that you would do it again. So it's like you break it down in your mind. Hey, I don't want to do this. I'm defeating myself. I'm hurting. I'm self-sabotaging. But that doesn't matter. I'm just going to be illogical for a second and completely ruin it. And
Yeah.
then you don't even want to go out at that time. You don't want to see your friends because you feel like a failure. And so it starts to kind of work its way into other aspects of your life. I kid you not, every aspect of my life was impacted by the binge eating. It was horrendous.
How did you do that with your friends? And did you ever go out that time?
Oh no, it's not like I stayed inside for like a year. No, it was like the day of a binge, I could not see my friends. So I wouldn't be binging back to back until, of course, later on I was binging back to back. But when I would do a binge, seeing my friends, like if I got that text an hour after a binge, like, hey bro, you want to go out? I'm like, bro, I can't even look at myself in the mirror. You want me to look at you? I can't do that. And so then the next day I might get on track and I'm like, hey, I can go out today because I'm feeling a little bit higher and mightier or whatever. But when the daily binges were happening, it was so unreal to me that I was actually doing this daily, as if it was a part, like you see these morning routines on YouTube. I was like, this is my freaking morning routine. I'm no longer doing this at night. I'm waking up in the morning and binging and then doing it again and doing it all throughout the day. But once it was a daily binge and a daily occurrence, it was a point where I almost accepted it as, well, this is who I am, and I can't just not see my friends anymore, so I'm just going to see them regardless. And what I noticed was when I went out to see my friends, it would kind of it would be like putting a silencer on a rifle. It kind of stifled my binging tendencies to be around them. I wouldn't go and get the biggest pizza ever. I would actually be more modest than them. And when I got home, I realized, like, wait a minute, okay, if I was modest with them and I didn't binge with them, why would I binge here? And so that actually saved me from like several binges where I would come home, I'll be like, I got all this food here, but if I was doing so good around them, why can't I carry that on and just go to bed? You know?
Yeah. What would you binge on? And how
Man,
many
just
calories?
everything. Calorie count, man. I don't even know. Probably between 4,000, 6,000. Sometimes it would just be 2,000 calories at once. And that's above whatever my daily intake was. So if I was on maybe 2,000 calories, 1,800, I remember at my all-time leanness, it was like, I'm looking at my old Lose It logs recently, and it said, you were eating 1,700 calories a day. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? No wonder I had disordered eating habits. Like that's just too low for me, at least, to not go crazy about food. But yeah, they were pretty massive binges. And the thing that really screwed me up was that I would eat a ton of food, and it's just essentially whatever is at the house, because I currently live with my parents. I'm trying to move out. And that's what I noticed was whenever they would go to like Costco or whatever, and at Costco you buy in bulk. I don't know if you've ever been, but
Mhm.
you buy in bulk, you bring all this food home. And so I would be helping my mom with the groceries. My dad, my brother were all just bringing stuff in, and I'm looking at fudge brownies, ice cream, madeleines, which like absolutely delicious. And you have all this crap, noodles, like 420 calorie noodles, 600 calorie crap, just a bunch of stuff. Even fish sticks used to be my thing. And it's just, it always changed. It always rotated. Regular ice cream was making me go crazy. But whenever there would be a massive grocery haul there, it would almost always trigger a binge, almost always, because I'm
Yeah.
like, look at all this food. I don't know if it's going to be here tomorrow. And it's such an illogical thought. Of course it's going to be there tomorrow, but you just get in this frenzy mindset. Well, all your logic, all the amount of times you hyped yourself up saying today's the day goes completely out the window. And what I noticed was I actually, every time I congratulated myself with weight loss and anytime I hit a milestone and I felt a dopamine rush from that, I got this heavy feeling of dread because I realized every time I mentally felt like, oh, I'm hitting my goal. This is great. That was a trigger for a binge. So what I started doing was I stopped celebrating that. So whenever I would hit my goal, look at the scale, I'd just be like, just keep moving. Like try not to send any dopamine to your head because that would mean like, let's go celebrate. And it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah. I can, what was like your worst story? Do you have a horror story of binges?
I don't know, because I would say the horror story is really the kind of a compilation of me going 40 pounds up over time. Just the accepting the reality that, wow, this is severe binge eating disorder, that gradual transformation to, oh, I'm just overeating. Oh, my body's hungry. Oh, it's just sending hunger signals. This is natural, to realizing that this is an actual disorder and reading the same articles over and over. Because when you have binge eating disorder, you start to research like more than the doctor. You start to look up all this crap trying to solve your problem. And it almost makes me want to punch my monitor in the face every time somebody's like, oh, just drink more water, you'll fix your binges. I'm like, it's like, dude, if that was the solution, I've tried gosh darn everything.
Yeah.
And
It's funny
I even
how
noticed, oh, go ahead.
sorry, it's funny how most people think it's that easy. They just say,
Yeah.
dude, just eat less.
Yeah, just eat less.
Yeah,
That's even better. It's like to tell the smoker, like, just smoke less, bro. Bro, just stop smoking it. It's like, yes, we have the ability to do that, but first of all, it starts off as just one binge here and there, but then it becomes habitual. And the body is great at forming these habits. And you start to have all these connections. Like I'll even walk in a certain section of the house right now to this day. And when I walk in there, I have to cancel out the thought of have a binge because that's the place I always binged. It's like how you get tired when you just sit in your bed even without a blanket. Your body knows you're supposed to sleep there. And it's same with going to the kitchen or sitting on a certain couch. It's like, oh, you binged here like 30 times. So I'm going to send these cravings. Here you go. Boom, 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 boom. It's
Damn.
ridiculous.
Yeah. I can still remember, my hunger. This is like a very, I think you never would have heard this story, but cabbage was my best friend and my worst enemy.
Oh my gosh, how even?
Yeah, I will tell you. So when I was really cutting down like to really low body fat, damn dude, I was already so hungry. I was eating 2 meals a day. So I would start with, I was eating around, this is no joke, all right? I was going so hard because getting the last bit of fat off was so hard, bro. It was horrible. So I was walking 20,000 steps every day, consistently, every day. I did my cardio for 15 minutes every day. I did my weight training every day. I was doing so much, bro. And I was eating like around 1,900 calories.
Oh, that's heavy.
And it was so cold in the Netherlands. And I don't know if you ever experienced, but when you're dieting, you're getting so cold.
Yeah, I used to have to wear 2 hoodies just to survive my house's room temperature. I'm like, what? So random.
Exactly. So like my first meal would have been like 800 grams of vegetables, 250 grams of beef, and some ketchup. All right. So no carbs. And I was fasting for like the whole day. I was hitting these monsters for 3 cans a day and shit.
Man.
like a lot of stimulants. All right, so and then before bed, I would literally make 15 French toasts, 15, and I would eat them just in one go. That was my second meal. So that's what I mean. I would love to fast and eat stuff like that, and a lot. And it worked, but when I would go to bed, I would literally just wake up because I was starving. I was like so hungry. So the funny thing, I thought by myself, like, all right, now you have a problem. Right now, you really have a problem at this moment. I would go to the fridge. I would have a cabbage in place all the time for times I would really want to binge. I just have it there. So I would just eat 2 cabbages of cabbage with sweetener on it.
Man, oh my gosh,
literally that. And I would eat cabbage to the point I was so full that my sleep was fucked.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that at that moment of time, I thought by myself, like, all right, I really have to I need to do this shoot, and I will never cut again. Like, I don't want to cut anymore, bro. Not to the point of that kind of leanness, bro. It's horrible. So that's one of my worst stories, man. I was like, that you're like binging on cabbage. Can you even imagine?
It's like the type of thing that probably like 5 years earlier, you'd be like, no, that's ridiculous. And then you flash forward and it's just like, well, there I am binging on cabbage. Yeah. Same stuff for me. I mean, not with the cabbage. With me, I would never do the binging on vegetables thing. It just was never enough. And also think about it this way. If I binge on all the food in my parents' house, number one, they're going to start noticing. And number two, that's like robbery at a certain point. Like, you can't just keep eating their food, bro. And so, yeah, it's like I have to stop myself. And that saved me from some binges that, like, every time I would try and eat a bunch of their food, it's like, wait a minute, Josh, you're going to have to explain this binge the next morning. And I can't tell you how many times where I woke up the next morning and my mom was like, Josh, why do we only have 2 tortillas left in a 10 package? I'm like, look, I'm sorry. And it's like, you don't even want to explain it. And I remember for the longest, I just made an excuse. It's like, sorry, I made a lot of tortillas for some reason. I was pretty hungry. But then at a certain point, I came clean. I was like, look, this is binge eating disorder. This is what I have. And this is why stuff disappears so quickly in this house. So.
Yeah. I can still remember something funny. And I don't know if you would go out to eat, would you like hold yourself in? Would you eat a lot? If you would go to a buffet, for example.
With the buffets, there was actually a funny memory. I haven't gone to a buffet many times, but there was a time where me and my family went out, and me and my dad specifically, we had this plan to just take in a bunch of carbs and then have this insane training session at the gym. And that was like the worst idea ever. We were so weak in the gym, like probably like 90% of our strength was gone simply because it was so painful, the amount of food we ate. And I don't think my dad has binge eating disorder. I think it was purely because, like, if you go to a buffet, the chances of binging or overeating, 90% increase at least.
Yeah.
And so I remember that time. And whenever I would go out to restaurants, honestly, it wasn't bad, because think about it. Most people, when they binge, they don't want it to be a public thing. Like, hey, look, I'm binging. Hey, look, I'm binging. It's even hard for me to make videos about binging sometimes. And I usually will wait like a week later when my spirits are higher to be able to actually talk about it. Most of the time, I won't be filming something the day of a binge. And if I do, I mean, that's going to be like the best video ever because it's straight raw emotion. But yeah, when I would go out to eat, I mean, I kept it pretty minimal. I tried to match what everyone else was having to not be the outlier, but I still ordered what I want. And what was funny, it even happens to this day where I'll know deep down, this is going way over my calories. This is like 1,500 calories. but to everyone else, it's just a burger and a fry. That's all it is. But I know deep down it's 1,200 calories or so.
Yeah, you're
And so it's like
mindful of
kind of,
what you eat, but
yeah,
I think if you're too mindful, it could also hurt you, you know?
that's the problem. It's like it's very hard to strike the balance where you're like you're mindful enough to stay on the diet, and then you're not too mindful to where you get obsessed. I'm a person where I get heavily obsessed with everything I do. They even told me when I was on the Texas trip with where I would just be editing this video and it took me 2 to 3 days because I was just trying to condense it down so much, try and strip away all the crap. And so I take the same approach with dieting and it sucks.
Yeah. So you actually have a little bit of an addictive personality, would you say so?
I would say that. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Same for me,
People
man.
have told me that before and I was like, what do you mean by that? Are you trying to roast me? But then I looked it up and I was like, oh, I see. Yeah, probably I do.
Yeah, exactly. I think most of the people suffering from this have the same thing, I guess. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I have the same thing as well. I would say I have an addictive personality. I don't know. Food is just so good, and I think that people, if you restrict yourself once, you really know what food is, man. It's like it's a world of different. I don't know how you were before that, before your first cut, but I think was it this? Did it change for you when you got it for the first time?
Well, I remember I was essentially doing what you would consider today to be intuitive eating back when I was, and this was like a long time, I would say before high school was, so sometime in middle school was when I wanted to, get abs. That's kind of what gets everybody into fitness. Like, I want to get abs. Oh, look at that. That guy has abs and all that. And I would just be eating a crap ton of bagels throughout the day, but I would be playing video games. Like I used to play Batman and all that. And whenever it would settle in my heart, oh, I'm hungry, I would just have a bagel here and there. And it was great because it's like, whatever I want, I can have it right there. And that mentality carried on into the dieting phase where it's like, don't restrict yourself, just eat it, which led to the binges. And so that's the thing. And I don't know, do you have a family member in your life right now where you look at them and you admire the fact that they can just make a simple meal? They don't care about the calories. They're full and satisfied. They're not obsessed about the food. They don't walk into the pantry and they don't just see imaginary calorie labels over everything. You have anybody like that?
Yeah, it's it's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm like jealous, man. It's like she stays quite very lean, very healthily lean, and she eats whatever she wants. I don't know. She's never like me that when we plan out to go to dinner, I'm the one who's talking about, oh, what are you going to get? I'm going to get this. I would look at the menu card and think like, what am I going to get? She was never like that. She's just like, it's just food.
That idea right there, that is the idea. It's just food is something that I wish I could have so bad. And it's not like I'm not trying to get there, but it's like, once you diet, it's like you've now trained yourself to weigh food. Yeah. Untraining that is going to be so freaking hard. I don't even know. You've taught yourself to read every calorie label, which long term is probably good to see what's in your food. You want to look at the ingredients and whatnot, but that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the freaking calories. Yeah. So it's like, I'd love to undo it. I wish there was just some way, just boom, instantly, and you just see food as food.
And now we're talking about the people around me. My girlfriend has like a pretty big family, so every year they would go out to the buffet. All right, and of course I was invited as well. So I would go there. I was sitting with all the normal people. They ate normal amounts, and it's not like everyone is doing fitness and shredded or something like that. All right, just normal, just average. All right, there's nothing wrong with that. I would go and I was the person, I would fill up my plate the whole time and they would look at me like, again, how are you doing that? I was like,
and it gets embarrassing, doesn't it?
I don't know. I'm just hungry, Damn, yeah. That's something I always experienced. It's like, it's weird, man. It's like, even to this day, right now, I'm intuitively eating. All right. So I am at the moment.
Oh, you don't weigh foods? You
I
don't do
don't
that?
wait anymore because I
Okay.
know I get mad from it, I get obsessed. I know I get obsessed when I do it too much. And when I do it well. All right. So I would not wait at small things like the little spray I put on the pan or something. Not things like that, but I would always just also if I would go out to dinner, I would think like, how many calories does this meal contain? It's not fun if you stress about it too much and you're actually there to have a good time. And I would not recommend anyone to like intuitively eat because I tracked for so long that I can look at a meal and I think it's around those many calories. Not like I just eat whatever I want. I just know, but because of the years of tracking, I know what food contains, and it's just I have a better relationship with food.
Yeah. How long would you say it took for you to get there from all the obsessive tracking to relaxed?
Think around 4 years.
Dang, I thought you were gonna be like 4 months. Jeez.
No. I have like a big streak. I had a big streak on my fitness pal, man. Like above 1,000 days every day, logging in, logging what I ate. Insane, dude. Insane. And
So
so
how did man, because that's honestly something that I want to do, but releasing that amount of control of looking at the app and knowing for a fact you hit your calories, that would be incredibly hard for me to do. Like other than
yeah,
just pulling off the
I would
band-aid.
say it would really give me a satisfying feeling when I know I hit my calories and I'm good. But it's this problem when you think I'm hungry, and myself, I look in this will really freak me as well. I look at weekly calories. So even if I would binge one day, let's say, I could compensate for it, it's not like all the calories you eat is like, all right, you fucked up. You can, it's like the mentality of eating a crappy food, and you think by yourself, I fucked up. Can really cheat my ass off.
Yeah, I hate that. It's so stupid. There's I read this quote by somebody, I think it was a comment section, and he said, going 200 calories over your diet and then binging for the rest of the day is like getting a flat tire and stabbing the rest of them. It's like,
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
exactly.
And that's how it feels. But in the moment, I swear your IQ drops below like negative 100. You just like, yeah, screw all my progress. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it. Whatever. I'm going to just go full 100% all the way in.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Are you still tracking?
I am still tracking. Yeah.
All right. And how is that going for you right now?
It's going good, but I want to move away from it, honestly, because it's like, as much as I love seeing the amount and like, yeah, I'm hitting it, I feel like it would be better if I don't, because I noticed something with I would say a binge that happened maybe 3 weeks ago or so, 2 weeks ago, and it was that I wasn't even hungry. I just enjoyed the fact that I didn't have to pull out my phone and log these calories. And I was like, huh. So if I'm not hungry and all I want is that freedom, why not just do that every day? But then when I go and actually try and do that, I'm like, no, 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 don't do that. You're gonna accidentally eat 4,000 calories a day and then get 600 pounds. Like, that's the thing that sucks, man. Like, you commented on my Zoom picture where it's me at like 211 pounds, and it's like, that's one of my bigger fears, not my biggest, but my bigger fears is
Yeah.
just going back to that weight slowly, because I know how horrible I felt just existing. I was overheating. Just
Yeah.
existing, I felt like I was slowly dying. So I don't want to go that way fast. I don't want to get to that weight slowly over time. I don't ever want to get back to 210.
Yeah. Yeah. I have the same thing with my bulk. I pushed it maybe a little bit too far. Not to the point I was fat by any means, all right? Because it was just not a look I liked.
Just beyond comfort.
Yeah, it's just beyond my comfort. And I don't know, I didn't really feel that great or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh, isn't that the worst when it's like you try to eat a bunch of calories to get your hormones back and your metabolism back, and you feel the exact same way you did when you were lean. And it's
yeah,
also, it's like once you get super lean, anything less than that amount of leanness doesn't seem like it's enough. I
yeah.
still
It's
struggle with that
like
to this
when
day.
you go shredded once, you never go back.
Sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Swears.
like you see yourself in the mirror so shredded and you want that, you want to maintain that, but
Mhm.
it's just it's even the most of the influencers, most of them, they're using shit PDs and stuff. They have good genetics to be lean. Look at the guy Tristan Lee. He's like so shredded.
Mhm.
It looks like he feels very good. I don't know. It's like I wish I had that, but I don't.
Yeah. I also got to be careful about that. The I wish I had that, because I've caught myself, and when you actually talk to these people, um, I don't want to say too much because it's like it wasn't really, it was a private conversation, but I'll just say there was a big YouTuber, like a very big YouTuber, and I reached out to them because I was feeling down about YouTube, and they said, "Oh, I feel the same way every single day. I feel defeated. I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm not successful." And I'm over here looking at, I'm looking at them, and they're like freaking Bill Gates over here, like money bags, and not feeling successful, not feeling like they're doing enough. And I'm just like, huh. I feel like, and this is one thing that's I've been struggling with kind of recently, is like I know I'm 21 years old, but sometimes I feel as though I'm running out of time rapidly, as if I'm like a 60-year-old man or 70-year-old man. Like I just feel like, okay, I need to do this. I need to do this by this time or else I'm a failure. And that's the type of negative bullcrap that also happens with binge eating disorder. You'll just tell yourself stuff all the time just to get what you want. It's stupid.
Yeah, yeah. I understood that you were coached by Greg Doucette, right?
Yeah.
How did you experience the coaching of him? Because a lot of people make videos about him. It's not worth the money. It's so expensive. Even with my coaching, it's like they're just an amount of people you can coach. I coach 4. That's it.
Mhm. Yeah, well, one thing I do want to say is that he never did the one-on-one coaching, like I forget that one plan where it's like $36,000. It wasn't that plan. And there's another misconception where I made a joke saying I had to sell my car or skip rent payments to afford it. That was a joke about how expensive it was. And then people were like, "Oh, bro, you're so stupid. How could you sell your car?" And I'm just sitting here reading this comment as my car is parked out front. I'm like, okay. But yeah, honestly, what I wish I did was that I got medical treatment before I reached out to Greg. And he even advised that in the plan. He said, I'm going to give you all these tips. I'm going to give you this diet plan. But at the end of the day, you need to get help. And I delayed that, and I shouldn't have delayed it, honestly. But then that's another thing, is that when I got the medical treatment, I'm now off of every medication that they gave me. And that's for a
Mhm.
specific reason. Um, I do want to answer your question before I get into that, but yeah, it was a great plan. It was formatted well. The only problem is I couldn't follow it simply because of just lack of will, discipline, whatever you want to call it. I followed it for a while. I would follow it on and off, and I'm talking about over the course of a year or so. So when I first got it, yeah, I was doing great. Like a couple months, great. But all of a sudden, I was like, again, back to that thought of I don't want to track anymore. So it's great. I love all these little food items. This is great, but I don't want to track it. And I don't want to have to look at this plan. I don't want to have to do this. And you start to get lazy and like, oh, I don't want to do anything, but I want to reach this goal. And it's so butt backwards. But again, like I said, your IQ drops below 100 when you binge. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it was it was so funny because I'm sitting here looking at this incredibly customized plan with all these meals that I like, with variations in it and recipes that I requested, and I'm just waking up day after day binging instead of using the plan. And that was, again, that was maybe at the 4 month mark of having the plan, 5 months. So it started out great, but then it just went downhill from there. I still have it to this day. I still refer back to it when I'm trying to look at calorie count calculations and whatnot, or if I want a recipe, because it's essentially a meal plan with a cookbook. So it's like a big old document. And then I also look back at the questionnaire, which I didn't expect to be as good as it was, but he went line by line and answered every single question, gave me advice saying this. And I guess probably the hardest one to accept was when he was like, hey, I think you're trying to be too lean. And when you hear that, when you're trying to get lean, you're just like, no, 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 shut up. Just tell me what to do. Okay. Just tell me how to get there. And that was the hardest thing to accept, real talk. But
yeah. Yeah, being that shredded, it's like I said before, it looks good, but I feel like shit, you know. And it's also the social media that gives you like a weird image or something. It's like you see all the shredded dudes, disorder. But I think that 95% of the people of the world don't have abs. I think, you know.
Yeah, you think? Yeah, we got to pull up the statistics on that. No, but I agree with you, especially here in the deep South. In America, in the deep South, my goodness, everybody looks like a 5x5 plier.
Yeah, everyone looks average, you know. It's like if you don't watch your nutrition and eat whatever you want and don't work out, you look average or fat.
Well, I wouldn't even say, I wouldn't even say average, because here we're popular for, you know, the deep fried foods, soul food and all that. Soul food is like, I mean, it's just so ironic that I am currently living in the place where they have some of the most high calorie foods in the planet. And it's like, I'm just looking at like this deep fried mac and cheese, as if the mac and cheese wasn't buttery enough. And then you got this pecan pie, 1,000 calories per slice. It's like, you know, this is ridiculous. This is a terrible environment to try and diet, but
yeah,
you gotta do what you can, you know.
What is your opinion on fasting? Did you ever implement it? Would you think it would help you, or?
Well, like I said, when you start doing the binging, you start to do intense research. I did just about everything. And fasting, one of them, I did intermittent, and then I did the longer extended fast. So with the intermittent fasting, I'm not doing that exactly right now, but I'm doing a variation of it, I'd say, where I just find myself, especially when I'm trying to edit, I'll wake up, I'll have breakfast. So automatically, that's not like the keto body style fasting. I'll have this breakfast of 1,000 calories, and then I have 1,000 calories left. And then by the time I eat it, it's nighttime. And I'm like, wow, where'd the time go? And so it helps a little bit. But some days I'll eat like 3 meals and then 1 meal at the end, that sort of thing. It's just, it varies. But I remember when I was doing extended fasting back in college, and it was kind of fun. It's honestly a moment that I look back to even now, and it's a positive memory because of what was associated with the day that I broke the fast. And essentially, I would fast for 3 to 4 days. The first day I was fine. I'd be riding my bike around campus. The second day I'd still be going to class, but as soon as class was over, I went into my room for most of the day until my roommates came back, and then we'd like chill or whatever. But then on the third and the fourth day, it was this little switch where I would just be lying in bed all day. And it was because you were so low on energy, you just aren't moving. Yeah. And on the fourth day, you're doing the same thing, lying in bed all day, but now you're looking at food all day. And I remember I'd be watching these live streamers just doing whatever, just walking in the city, doing fun stuff. And that would be my day on the fast. So it's a horrendous life to live, unless it's like 3 or 4 days out of your life and then you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. But yeah, the day I would break the fast, actually the night before, so probably at 12 in the morning on the last day of the fast, I would be going on the Chick-fil-A app, which is they sell chicken sandwiches and variations of chicken. And I'd be going on there and I'd be programming what I wanted to eat, because I'd be tracking all the calories, but I'd be eating a good amount. So I kid you not, I had like a biscuit, chicken biscuit, sausage biscuit, all these biscuits, hash brown scramble, all this crap. So much crap that they needed like their industrial size bag just to give it to me. Like not the paper, the paper bag wouldn't do. And so they had to pull out this giant thing. And at about 5 a.m. on the day I broke my fast, I would ride my bike, and it's pitch black outside, ride my bike about 10 minutes down the street. No cars are out. And it was just a nice feeling. I would be just listening to this relaxing music, and I would show up to the Chick-fil-A, and at a certain point they banned me from the drive-thru because they were like, it's not safe to have a bike in the drive-thru or whatever. I was like, man, screw you. But they would give me my food. I'd ride back to the house, and then I'd put on Frasier, one of my favorite shows at the time. And it was just a relaxing, beautiful day. I'm feeling good again. I have this food inside, and I'm getting just insanely great dopamine feeling. But when you look back on it, you're like, this is very bad, because it's you're essentially binging and purging with the amount of food that you're having.
Yeah. For me, I did like the intermittent fasting. I did it for so long. I actually still do, but I'm not pushing it that long anymore. I notice when I push it too long, and I know, for example, like, oh, if I'm gonna get home, I'm going to eat this and this and this. You plan out everything, and you just eat all the delicious food. You can't wait. Food is on your mind the whole day. And I think when I get to that point, that's the moment when I can eat so much. It's like you're giving your body the signal, like, we're starving and you need to eat so much. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but right now I'm like fasting a little bit less. I just don't like the feeling when waking up and I have to eat something, make something, or I don't know. It's like I can focus pretty well when I'm fasting, but it just doesn't have to get to the point where I'm like fasting for too long. So right now, I would not even call it fasting. It's like 14 hours. And if I'm lucky, 16. But around those times, it was like 20. And it's a world of difference.
Yeah.
So I'm just hungry. So hungry when I fast for too long. But I noticed it really helped me. But also the thing about the low-calorie dense foods, I don't know. It was... For me, it gone to a point where I didn't really have a feeling it really helped me or something. It's like your stomach is full.
You're just full up. Oh, yeah, I know that feeling.
But your mind is still thinking, I would like that. I would like that. You know what I mean? It's like your body doesn't even realize there's food in there. Maybe it does because you're so full, but I don't know. It's like, it's weird. Because if I would eat low-calorie dense food, it would be vegetables. It's things that are in your stomach for a pretty long time, right? So it's not like the calories are digested in your blood and that kind of shit right away, So it's in there, but you're still hungry. Like
it's the craziest feeling.
Yeah. I would
recommend. I'd say. Oh, go ahead.
I would say that everyone who wants to lose weight, eat low-calorie dense food. It would really, really help you because it just makes your diet easier. But to a certain point, I have the feeling like it doesn't really help me or something. It's not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've had a lot of people, they say that on that Discord I was talking about, where people go on there and they're just like, hey, I'm about to binge. And then other people try and stop them and give them some motivation and all that stuff. And it's nice. But I've heard them say they've had a bunch of low calorie foods for the day and it's not enough. And there were a lot of binges where I used to do this thing where it's like, as long as I have a giant, massive protein ice cream before, I can eat whatever I want. But at a certain point, that giant protein ice cream would be nothing. It would be absolutely nothing. I could eat it like nothing, and then I'm just binging. I wouldn't even barely feel the protein ice cream. It was just non-existent. And there's sometimes it's the strangest thing where it's like I'll be craving something like a cookie, and nowadays I'll just have the cookie. It's like such a simple idea. But once I have the one, most of the time it'll just eliminate that mental hunger, you know? And I know some people don't like to distinguish the two, but you can be physically full and then mentally you're still craving something else.
Exactly.
And so sometimes it's like the giant protein ice cream, it's going to fill me up physically, but that cookie is what I really want. And then once I have that, it's just like the ultimate satisfaction. It's like what the protein ice cream could never be. And it blows my mind every time.
Yeah. What do you think of the approach that Stephanie Buttermore took? I'm quite
I think it worked for her, which is great. And well, this is one caveat, is that when you're a YouTuber, you have no idea, or when you're watching a YouTuber, you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So I even told Eli, not dead yet, go subscribe to him if you're listening. I told him, we have no idea what happens when she cuts the camera. And there's been scenes where she shows herself crying on camera, which like I'm still a little suspicious about to this day.
That's so weird, bro. It's like,
yeah, I know. Like,
I'm so sad. Let's film it. It's like it's so weird.
Yeah, it blows my
man.
mind. And so it makes me wonder, like, what are we not seeing behind the cuts? Because not only are you not seeing what happens when they're not filming, but you're not seeing what's in between the cuts. In my videos, I even have this thing where it's like, I say the most obscene, horrendous thing that would get me canceled on YouTube possible in almost every video, but I cut it out. And it's just a little power thing I like to do. It's like a power move where I just enjoy seeing it in the editing process. I'm like, nobody will ever hear this. This is great. This is the greatest thing. And I just cut it out. You have no idea what's going on in the full video. You have no idea what's going on in her day to day. And so while she comes off as really happy and she's smiling in gosh darn every frame of her videos nowadays, I don't like to say, I'm not saying this about her, but I've learned to become very wary of people that are constantly smiling. It's okay to smile, but constantly run away.
Yeah.
So if they're just like, hey, it's great to see you today. Oh yeah. Like calm down a little bit. And when I talk to those people, I tend to notice that they are dealing with some of the worst things ever: depression, suicidal thoughts. And so with her, I'm glad it worked for her. And she definitely has great genetics to distribute the body fat in just the right places, but not everybody does. Some people would do her all in thing and get a massive eating disorder from all in. Like, not everybody just gets fixed hunky-dory by eating a bunch of calories, getting to their set point, and then slowly lowering over time. Some people, it gets worse, and they need medication and therapy.
I notice what really works for me is that we all had that cut where we just gained the weight so hard back again. I had it once, but I noticed that when I'm really conservative and going up really slowly, it's easier on my mind because I don't see my body changing that quickly. Because you can be very lean and eat 3 days, whatever you want, like a lot of calories. You know how your hunger hormones are unregulated. You just eat whatever. And 3 days later, you're a bloated balloon. It's like, it's very hard on the mind, right? So I think when you go up really slowly, it's also easier on your mind as well. Because you don't see yourself, you get used to the changes, the slow changes, not the fast one.
Yeah. And your brain's not going to pick up on the changes nearly as fast, which is also good. Exactly. And I also agree with that in terms of the dieting aspect, not just the raising your calories, but doing a slower diet has helped me a lot, because it's like, at that point, I'm so used to rapid weight changes on the scale, just rapidly going down, rapid. And then that gets me more obsessed. But when you slow it down, you just have to kind of, you're a little pissed, but you're like, I'll get to my goal eventually. It's not going to be in 3 months like I wanted to. It's going to be in like 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever. But at that point, you mentally relax a little bit, because you realize, okay, I need to eat what I actually like, not just some stuff that's going to get me to my hardcore deficit. And the changes are slow enough to, like what I told you earlier, where whenever I would be making massive progress one day and I would just look in the mirror or look at the scale and be like, yeah, we did it. it would lead to a super dopamine high and then lead me to want to binge. When you're dieting super slow, I've noticed I've had that urge a lot less.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I'm having you here for quite a while already.
Oh yeah, the time is flying for me. I'm
Yeah,
really
for
enjoying
me as
this.
well, man. I'm just I just wrote down like things I wanted to talk about, but gone to a whole other direction, and that's how I actually that's actually how I really like the podcast. Just let it flow. Not
Yeah, as long as you hit like each topic at least a little bit, and then just because honestly, the best conversation comes out of the side stuff. You're like, my gosh, I'm relating so hard to that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, for the last thing, what is your number one advice for like people who are struggling with an ED, binge eating, or whatever? What is your experience?
I would say the biggest thing you got to do is, because the problem is, it's like I want to say two things. So the biggest thing, you have to understand that you have a problem, because so many people they like to feel as though they're in control when they really aren't. And so they're like, look, I could stop binging if I wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and eat 10,000 calories. It's like, look, you're not in control, okay? And sometimes it takes an outside loved one to notice your tendencies and to bring it up to you. But the biggest thing is, I would say it's going to be hard, but tell the people around you that you trust. And if you have trouble doing that, I've had people, they send some of my videos. I would say my best binge eating video to date was binge eating is killing me. I think that's the name. Binge eating is killing me. And it was when I was ranting at the beach with my family, and I let it all out. And I've had people, they say they send that to their family and friends. And those family and friends that used to not take their overeating seriously, they're like, oh, my daughter has a problem. My son has a problem. That's horrible if she's having these same thoughts as this guy. And so the biggest thing, you don't want to feel alone. I've brought it up a couple times in this podcast, but I really think you should join the Discord. It's free, so don't be all scared or whatever. We got like 200 people in there that are readily available if you're dealing with any binge thoughts or you're struggling with anything with an eating disorder. You can simply just drop a message in there and people will support you. You'll make new friends. You'll have other people that you can relate to. And eventually the binging will hopefully slow down. The next thing I recommend, get to a doctor. And the thing with that is, it's a little tough for me with that aspect, because I did go to a doctor, and I'm glad I did, 100% glad I did. But the problem is with the medication. So I didn't talk about, I hinted at it before, but with the medication, it always seemed to be great for the first month. And I remember every time it happened, it was like, if I could live like this for the rest of my life, I want to live forever. Yeah. It was a great first month, but after that, it either stops working. And at least for me, there's some people that have used it for 6 years and 10 years and 20 years and their whole lives. So I'm not trying to discourage you from using medicine that you research thoroughly and you know what's in it and you know the side effects and whatever. But for me, it's just after that first month, the binging would happen again. The positive feelings just disappeared. Had to switch. Went from sertraline to Zoloft, or I think that's the same thing, sertraline to fluoxetine, and then finally to Vyvanse, which is, to this currently, it's the only FDA approved drug for binge eating disorder and ADHD.
What does that actually do?
So essentially, it's a massive appetite suppressant. And I noticed again that first month, oh so great. And I wasn't thinking about food, and I actually had to force myself to eat sometimes. Like I had to remind myself, hey, you got to eat these meals or else you're going to be in a massive calorie deficit. Yeah. And so I wasn't thinking about food. I wasn't obsessed with food. And the best part about it was those negative thoughts that encourage you to binge, where you're like, oh, you suck, you're a loser, go ahead and eat some food. You already failed yesterday, do it again. Those infinite loops of negative thoughts disappeared. But like I said, after around a month, maybe 2, that the benefits slowly disappeared. And I'm not saying it caused this. I think it was maybe a slightly assisting factor at the tail end where I was dealing with depression recently. And I thought about it. I was like, let me research again what's in Vyvanse, because I researched all of them heavily before. But you remember what I said, where I'm like, look, if I can get rid of binge eating disorder and get some other disorder, at this point, I don't care. Just give me whatever, just not binge eating.
Yeah.
And I looked up the side effects of Vyvanse, and it said may cause depression, may cause suicidal thoughts. I'm like, this could be hurting my depression, so I'm going to get off of it for a while. And I haven't been on it since. So it's not that you shouldn't get medicine. You should definitely talk to a doctor and a psychiatrist and whatnot. Get some, they'll teach you how to get some great coping mechanisms and whatnot. But for some people, it may not work as long as they hope.
Yeah. I have this person that I know that she's suffering from anorexia nervosa, and she gone to get help, but I don't know how the medical system is over there. But over here, it's like, you don't listen, we can't help you. I'm sorry, like that. I don't know what the protocols were, but I never heard of getting prescribed medicine over here in Holland, at least. I think most people here think it's not really a serious problem, but it really is.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. A lot of people underestimate it. They're just like, oh, you're a growing boy. You're just going through your growth spurt. So you got to feel that stuff. It's like, it's a little bit more than that. I think once you sit down your doctor, or you talk to your parents about it, or whoever you trust, and once you tell them, hey, you need to also, you can't just say, oh, I'm eating a lot of food. You have to describe to them how it makes you feel. You got to say, this makes me feel horrendous about myself every day, and I'm losing the will to go on in terms of motivation for every aspect of my life. And if you say something like that, they're gonna be like, okay, this kid is not just eating a bunch of pizza. Like there's something more here.
Yeah. All right, man. So
yeah.
Some very good talk, man. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was great to hear your stories. Well, very relatable. Lots of stuff you went through.
Yeah. I hope this, I will put it into a lot of clips. I don't know how many it's going to be, but I think it would help a lot of people, man. And thanks for sharing your story, and subscribe to the Iron Musket, because you have a lot of good recipes, man. Like the anabolic ice creams. It's like your story is also very relatable to me as well, and to other people, I guess. So yeah, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, really no problem, man. I really enjoyed it, man. And really thank you for coming on, man. Not a lot of people really want to come on a smaller channel when they are so bigger themselves, something
I think I definitely understand that. The main thing with me is that if I see potential in a channel and I like the person in the channel, then I'm like, okay, normally it might not be the best move, but I gotta do it. They seem like a great person. I'm gonna do it. So yeah, and I'm glad I did. This was a great talk. I was very engaged the whole time, and I want to talk to you more, bro. Honestly, it was a great conversation.
Problem. We can schedule another podcast or whatever. Maybe you can schedule one. Maybe you can go a little bit through my content. And I don't know if you have, but
I went on your Instagram mainly, and that's how I saw. I like got the behind the scenes of your initial dieting phase with the photo shoot. I was like, okay, cool,
yeah. But on my YouTube, I have a lot of different stuff. I kind of do the reaction videos now as well, because of I don't know, man. It's like people really don't want to look at information. I have the feeling
they say they do, but then you look at your statistics and your analytics, and it's like, you don't like that. Okay, so you're full of crap.
Let's just say if I make a nanny or not, or a reaction video, if I just use someone else's name, it's always better or something. I don't know. And the drama,
Yeah, they hate drama, but they click on it every time and watch the whole video. It's like,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
exactly. So yeah, do a lot of different stuff, and let's talk another time, man. I really enjoyed this.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.